Wes, yesterday, Kevin said that first and foremost, that defense doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, that you kind of know where everyone is, but they just play well. How unusual is that in today's NFL?
There's various teams around the league that, kind of have a style like that where they're not per se exotic, but what they do is, you hear a lot about on offense, things that look the same that are different. They can play their coverage schemes from very similar looks. They're not a huge pressure team. They're fundamentally sound. They move the front a lot, which is, sometimes harder than pressures, picking up the stunts, those types of things. They're really just, between Coach McDermott, Coach Frazier, got a lot of respect for those guys wherever they've been. It's always been a challenge playing against their defense.
You sense it's more Sean's defense or Leslie? I mean,
I'm sure it's a collaboration of just their combined experiences and wealth of knowledge. But I remember in Washington with Kirk going into Carolina and taking one of the worst beatings I've had in this league, with a Sean McDermott coached defense, and weren't playing, a ton of different coverages, but usually the more things people do, the more mistakes happen, and if you do less, guys can play fast and they know their assignments. And they fly to the football. They're good tacklers. They're very opportunistic with a lot of tip balls, a lot of picks off tips. The rushers, if they're not getting home, they get their hands up. So it's a real challenge.
When they move the front like they do, where does that put the most stress, I guess, specifically on the interior part of the line?
Well, early downs, you have to handle the movement in the run game if you're trying to run the football, and that can be a challenge. Guys get picked off trying to get to the second level backers, and they've got two backers who, with Edmonds and Milano, who are really good players and make a lot of plays for them. So you get picked off going the second level if you're not prepared for the movement, and then of course, working the stunts in the pass game on known passing downs, where guys are picking off guys. You have to be really disciplined with your sets. A lot of times have to set a little more vertically if you have a threat of some sort of game. You have a three technique to your side and you're the tackle. You got to set a little bit more vertical as opposed to setting out. But now you've got that issue. Even if they don't stunt, I'm setting vertical, and Von Miller's got a head of steam running at me, and he's got a wealth of pass rush moves to win, and it's a challenge.
Milano didn't play last week, did he?
He did not.
I mean, what impact did that have on their defense? I think they struggled against the run.
I think it had a big impact. I've got a lot of respect for that guy as a player. I'll be honest with you, when we played, when we were in Los Angeles and played them in 2020, in the COVID year, I didn't know a lot about him. I had seen, whatever tape we had watched on him and thought, oh, yeah, he's a little bit undersized, but he's athletic. And we actually, we had a couple routes, one to Cooper and one to Robert Woods, where we got an empty and kind of had Cooper or Robert away from the passing strength with a little kind of choice route, looky route that we call it, in the slot, and thought we had exactly what we wanted, and he gloved them, and we didn't get anything out of those plays that we thought were kind of premier looks for us, and he also made a lot of plays in the run game. We had a couple runs that we hit, and then we came back to him the next time we tried him. I mean, he diagnosed it, he recognized it right away, and made the play. So I said, wow, this guy's a little better than I knew he was.
Did you hit your dad up for scouting reports on Von Miller from his time coaching him at all, or is there enough tape on him at this point that it's all kind of out there?
Yeah, I think there's enough tape, and you can watch all the tape you want. I mean, this guy's one of the great pass rushers to ever come through this league. Anybody in the 100-sack club knows how to rush the passer and get to the quarterback.
35 points on opening drive so far. I mean, you guys are clearly finishing those opening with sevens, but then there's like the lull, and then you find the plays in the fourth. So I guess what really is it about staying and figuring it out at the end where you react to what's happening in the game?
Well, yeah, I think we'd all like to score every possession. You'd like to be able to plan it out that way, but it's just kind of how the game flows. You know, it's execution, it's play calls, it's all kinds of things that contribute to that. I don't think there's any particular second quarter we can't get going or the guys aren't ready to play. It's really about the calls that come in and the execution of each one, and sometimes it's a guy makes a mistake or misses something, and sometimes we put him in a bad position with a play call. So just got to be more consistent overall and try to continue to keep that momentum when we have it, and not let it lull, so we can just keep on plugging and keep scoring points.
What's kind of your take on just how loose the team is? You know, the flights, Kirk wearing the chains, the celebration from the field, what have you. What's kind of your overall take on that?
I love it. I know it's probably fun for everyone, but I kind of miss the time when that moment on the plane was for us. It's just something we could all just see and remember and say, wasn't that great? But nowadays that's how it is. Immediately it's on social media before the wheels hit the ground. So, but one of my favorite parts about the NFL is the plane ride home on a road trip after a win. We usually, as coaches, grade the tape, watch the tape, we talk some, and then usually you're kind of up and about and mingle around and talk to the guys and say, hey, what'd you think, and talk about the game. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about the NFL.
You're saying that stuff has always happened, it just wasn't on social media? There's been quarterbacks dancing and
Yeah. I've never been around a quarterback taking his shirt off on the plane, but they're having fun, and Kirk's got a kind of a refreshing genuineness about him. He knows who he is. He doesn't try to be anything else, and I think guys feel that and gravitate towards that.
There's talked a little bit about seeing cover zero more than maybe he ever has. I wonder why you think that is and how you navigate that game by game.
It might be just the way the schedule worked out. I mean, some teams, you play the Bucks with Todd Bowles. You play Philadelphia. The teams we played, Philadelphia and Miami, are gonna zero you more than most teams, particularly Miami. So it might just be a consequence of just kind of how the schedule worked out. Buffalo's not a big zero team, but they can certainly bring one anytime they want, and I know they have it in their playbook. So I don't know if that's a reaction to people think they can zero Kirk or whatever it may be, but we feel good about our answers, and usually the more times you see something, the better equipped you are and the better you are to handle it. It's kind of like Lamar Jackson last year. I think it was Miami that blitzed him over and over and over, and people said, okay, this is the way to stop him. And then other teams started to do it, and then a couple games later he got a bunch of zeros and he torched them. So all those things help to gain experience and help with everyone kind of understanding our answers when we do get those zero looks.
With TJ, had you seen enough during the practice week to anticipate that big of a debut? And what was there anything about his showing and fit in the offense that you passed your expectations?
Well, we were really impressed by how he broke the huddle with confidence, just getting to his alignment. There wasn't a lot of turning around and looking at his position coach and saying, "What do I got?" or asking guys next to him. And it's really a credit to him. But I couldn't have said that he was going to be 9 for 9 targets for 70 yards in his first showing. But we did feel confident about playing him a good amount and what he was able to do.
The fact that you have a scout team quarterback that had spent a couple of years with him in Detroit kind of helped him catch up on the offense, just to have somebody that could say, "Hey, this is what we used to call it. This is what it is here."
It definitely did happen because David came in, in a similar situation. He wasn't thrust into playing right away, but as a quarterback, these guys are striving to figure it all out quickly, and for him to be able to kind of take some of the things that they had and say, "This is like that. This is what we called this." I definitely think that helped the process, but more than anything, TJ's work that he put in, I think, is really what ended up allowing him to have success.
Anything else for us? All right, thanks everyone. We'll have a
Thanks.
next.